They told us the Amazon was empty, just trees, rivers, and a few scattered tribes. But then we pointed satellites at it and found cities. For hundreds of years, explorers came back from the Amazon with stories of a mythical place called El Dorado, a golden city hidden somewhere in the jungle. Most people laughed at them. Scientists called it fantasy. But here's the thing nobody talks about. They were kind of right. Not about the gold, but about the cities. And we only figured that out because we started looking from space. What you're about to find out is that the Amazon, the place we thought was just a wild, untouched jungle, was actually home to millions of people. Massive roads, giant structures, and entire civilizations that we completely missed for centuries. Here are 9 of those lost jungle cities and the wild ways we finally found them. Llanos de Moyos, Bolivia. Let's start in Bolivia, in a flat, swampy region called the Llanos de Moyos. For a long time, this place looked like nothing. Just flooded grasslands, boring, empty. Then researchers started using something called LiDAR, which basically shoots millions of laser beams from a plane down through the tree covers and maps whatever's hiding underneath. And what they found in Llanos de Moyos was jaw-dropping. There were raised platforms, causeways, canals, and mounds spread across thousands of square kilometers. These weren't random bumps in the ground. They were engineered, built on purpose. Scientists now believe that somewhere between 500 and 10,000 years ago, a civilization called the Kasarabe people built a massive urban system here, with large settlement centers connected by straight roads that stretched for miles through the jungle. A 2022 study published in the journal Nature confirmed this was one of the largest pre-Columbian urban systems ever found in the Amazon. Number 2, Cuxicugu, Upper Xingu, Brazil. Now move southeast to the Brazilian Amazon to the region called the Upper Xingu. In the early 2000s, a researcher named Michael Heckenberger went deep into this area with local Cuicuro people as guides. What he found, backed up later by satellite imagery, was a network of at least 20 large villagers, all connected by wide roads, all surrounded by moats and walls, and all arranged in a very specific geometric pattern. This wasn't a bunch of random huts. This was a planned urban network. Heckenberger estimated that back in 1400 AD, this system of towns, which he called Cuxicugu, held around 50,000 people. That's bigger than most European cities at the same time. And we had zero idea it existed until someone actually looked. Geoglyphs of Acre, Western Brazil. Here's one that genuinely broke people's brains when it came out. In the state of Acre in Western Brazil, farmers started clearing jungle for cattle grazing in the 1980s. And as the trees came down, something weird appeared. Giant shapes in the ground, perfect squares, perfect circles, some of them over 300 meters wide. These are called geoglyphs, shapes cut into the earth. And there are over 450 of them spread across an area the size of a small country. They were completely invisible under the forest for centuries. Some of them are estimated to be 2,000 years old. Here's the thing that really messes with your head though. These weren't built in a cleared jungle. Research shows the forest was actually there when they were built, which means whoever made them managed an incredibly dense rainforest well enough to build massive geometric earthworks inside it. These people weren't destroying the jungle. They were living with it and reshaping it at the same time. The garden cities of the Amazon, multiple sites. A researcher named Umberto Lombardo and his team did something clever. They didn't just look at one spot. They looked at soil, specifically the type of super fertile black soil found all over the Amazon called terra preta, which literally means dark earth in Portuguese. This soil isn't natural. Humans made it by mixing charcoal, bone, and organic waste into the ground over hundreds of years. And where you find terra preta, you find people, lots of them. By mapping terra preta deposits using satellite data and ground surveys, researchers found traces of ancient civilizations and settlements spread across a massive stretch of the Amazon basin. Some of these sites covered hundreds of hectares. A 2018 study estimated that before Europeans arrived, the Amazon may have been home to anywhere from 8 to 10 million people. Not a few scattered tribes, millions of people in complex, organized societies farming the jungle like a garden. Tapajos River Settlements, Brazil. Along the Tapajos River in central Brazil, early European explorers in the 1500s wrote about seeing enormous towns along the riverbanks. Towns with roads, plazas, and thousands of residents. They wrote it down in their journals, and then everyone kind of forgot about it. Fast forward to the 21st century, using satellite images and LiDAR surveys, archaeologists started finding exactly what those explorers described. large earthworks, circular village layouts, and massive terra preta deposits stretching along the river for hundreds of kilometers. One site near the town of Santarém is now believed to have been one of the largest cities in the pre-Columbian Americas, and it sat basically in plain sight. People had been living on top of it for generations, but nobody had connected the dots until the satellite data came in. Number 6. Marajo Island, Brazil. Right where the Amazon River meets the Atlantic Ocean sits a massive island called Marajo. It is the size of Switzerland, and for a long time it seemed like a quiet, unremarkable place. But archaeologists digging there have found something extraordinary. Huge artificial mounds, some of them over 20 meters tall, built entirely by hand. These mounds were used as platforms for buildings, as cemeteries, and possibly as flood protection during the wet season when the whole island goes underwater. The people who built these, called the Marajoara culture, produced some of the most detailed and artistic pottery ever found in the Americas. They were clearly a sophisticated society. Satellite imagery helped map dozens of these mounds hidden under thick vegetation. Some researchers believe the population of Marajo Island at its peak may have been in the hundreds of thousands. The roads of the Bolivian Amazon. Back to Bolivia for a second because this one deserves its own spotlight. In 2019, a team of researchers using LiDAR scans in the Bolivian Amazon didn't just find settlements, they found roads. Long, straight roads, some stretching over 20 kilometers, connecting different towns and settlements like an ancient highway system. Some of these roads had raised sides, like modern roads do, to keep them above floodwater. Think about what that means. To build a straight road through the Amazon jungle, where the ground is constantly wet, where the trees are enormous, where the terrain changes constantly. You need engineering knowledge. You need organized labor. You need planning. These weren't primitive people randomly wandering around. They were building infrastructure. LiDAR discoveries in the Peruvian Amazon. Peru's stretch of the Amazon has been one of the most exciting places for new discoveries in the last 10 years. In 2020 and 2021, multiple LiDAR surveys revealed enormous complexes of platforms, plazas, and earthworks hidden under the jungle canopy in areas that archaeologists had barely touched. One of the biggest finds was a ceremonial complex in the Mayamarca region that predates the Inca by over 1,000 years. We're talking 3,000-year-old monumental architecture buried under trees and vines, invisible to everyone who walked past it, until a laser on a plane peeled back the jungle and showed us what was underneath. Researchers believe that many more sites are still out there. The LiDAR surveys so far have only covered a tiny fraction of the Peruvian Amazon. Every time they scan a new area, they find something. The lost city of Z, Mato Grosso, Brazil. This last one has a story attached to it that sounds like a movie, because it literally became one. In the early 1900s, a British explorer named Percy Fawcett disappeared into the Amazon looking for a city he called Z, a place he believed was a highly advanced ancient civilization hidden somewhere in the Mato Grosso region of Brazil. He vanished in 1925, and for decades people thought he was just a crazy man chasing a legend. But then came the satellites, and the LiDAR, and the Terra Preta surveys. In 2017, using satellite data and field surveys, researchers found a cluster of large connected settlements in the Upper Xingu region that matched almost exactly what Fawcett described. The sites showed evidence of large populations, organized agriculture, and road systems. The lead researcher archaeologist J. Michael Heckenberger stopped short of calling it Z, but he said the area Fawcett was searching in absolutely contained large, complex, pre-Columbian urban settlements. Fawcett wasn't wrong. He was just 100 years too early. So here's what all of this adds up to. The Amazon wasn't empty. It was never empty. For thousands of years, millions of people lived there, built there, farmed there, and shaped that jungle in ways we're only starting to understand. The reason we missed it is because the jungle swallowed everything after European contact, and the diseases that came with it wiped out up to 90% of the Amazon's population in less than 200 years. What we're doing now with satellites and laser technology is basically reading the Amazon like a book that was hidden under 1,000 years of overgrowth. And every year we're finding new chapters. The Amazon isn't just a jungle. It's a graveyard of civilizations we never got to know. The next video on your screen goes even deeper. You're not going to want to skip it.